Good evening, everybody. Morning. Usual greeting of the day. Welcome back. This is Ground Zeroes, and this is the big one. This is the original mission. This is the mission, Ground Zeroes. There's some dogs there. They look great. This game looks great. There's a lot of rain going on. This is going to be a two-parter because I'm going to try to split this up so you don't have to watch a 20-plus minute video where I struggle to keep you engaged. So we're going to split it up and make it a little more manageable for everybody involved. These involve a lot more of the cutscenes than the other missions in the game, and as a result, there is a lot less me just talking over gameplay and a lot more me talking over the cutscenes. I apologize if this offends you. Perhaps at some later date I will make a video where I do not talk over the cutscenes. In the meantime, welcome. Here's this pilot. He is pointing a gun at what looks to be a small child. That's totally okay. Look at that reflection in the pilot's glasses. That looks excellent. In fact, this entire game looks excellent. I'm not sure if I've said that before. I'm happy to say it now. This gentleman is, I guess, just taunting a person who is essentially in Gitmo. That's not the greatest thing to do, but hey, I think that villains need to be villains for a reason, so let's go ahead and just let it go. This guy's pulling a headphone out of his chest in about 5 seconds. Oh, nope, game's making a liar out of me. Instead we're seeing this guy's spooky sort of skeleton face.
No more war games. You're a real man now, soldier.
Taunting him. That's Ricardo Chico. I'm not even gonna try. That's Chico. He's a child soldier, I think, and he just pulled a headphone jack out of a wound in his chest. That is not cool. You should not. You should get medical attention if that is a thing you can do. He can't. He's a detainee in essentially evil Gitmo, which, given the nature of Gitmo, saying evil Gitmo is kind of a dire thing. We have these rats that are running along. I personally don't see that many rats. I have to deal a lot more with cockroaches where I live. I hope rats don't run around like that, like it's just fine to be running underfoot. That's terrifying. At least cockroaches are terrified of you almost as much as I am terrified of cockroaches. We have these gentlemen who are all pretty decked out. You can see the pilots have the Uzis lashed on to their sort of tactical gear here. I think that's pretty cool, actually. This intro cutscene I thought was very good in establishing sort of setting and mood. You're in a place with this sort of ambient music. You have a lot of rain going on. You have these guys who are very military, even if they're in their own compound.
She survived.
I was somewhat confused by this opening cutscene because I wasn't sure if we actually had one of the main characters as our point of view character. It turns out that's not the case, but that's okay.
Friends at Cypher suspect Paz could be a double agent. She's being held for interrogation at a
that was the American flag. Beautiful. We are making our way on up, heading on out through the heliport up here, which, if you've seen my previous videos, you're already familiar with this place, which, again, is a really cool thing. This game is kind of like Super Mario, but Metal Gear Edition, in that you get... Super Mario 64, my apologies. You get familiar with one location. You get to learn about that one location, and this game definitely accomplishes that very well. And at the same time, this opening cutscene kind of gives you a tour around the place you'll be going to later, in addition to providing a lot of the necessary things. There were some good gameplay choices made in this opening cutscene, which I think is really cool. In addition to that, it just looks damn impressive. Metal Gear Solid has been a great game series for making sure that the visual appeal and aesthetic of the game is present at every time. Even when they couldn't accomplish it on stations on the consoles or handheld consoles like the PSP, they made a very great effort to make it look as good as possible through drawn cutscenes instead of rendered cutscenes. I think that's a really cool effect that they cut the music off immediately as the XOF symbol fades. And we have this man who is still a spooky, scary skeleton who was wearing a fedora for a very short amount of time, let's say. Skullface, which is... I mean, look at him. He's obviously earned that nickname. He is only seen in this opening cutscene, and of course he's sort of the viewpoint character for that opening cutscene, but we know very little about him at the time of Ground Zeroes, which I think was a very good effect. I think they made a good choice of it. You look on the left there, that guy is scanning the XOF symbol or decal off of that other helicopter. I think that's also a really good effect. That's really cool that they have someone there that does this little incidental thing that thing could have just been gone and you wouldn't have noticed. Such is the nature of things, I suppose, in these kinds of games. They put a lot of effort into them,
So
and
who's the other target?
I'm really appreciative of that.
That would be Chico. He's being held in the same area as Paz. Last radio contact was 40 hours ago. Find them both. Bring them back alive. Enter the compound from the south cliff. Secure Chico and Paz, then report back from the rendezvous point.
So as the discussion has gone, we are actually looking to extract 2 of our former compatriots from a previous game and get them out of this sort of hellish prison camp. This is the first appearance of Kiefer Sutherland as Naked Snake, the big boss, and this mysterious XOF unit as opposed to the Fox unit that Big Boss is a part of.
We'll send a chopper from across the Cuban border. You should be back at Mother Base in time for lunch. You'll probably just miss our guests. The only catch is you go in solo. The politically sensitive nature of the mission means backup is not an option.
Fine. I like some alone time now and then.
Made our way up this cliff. We've gotten enough of an intro of our main character here. I think they do a very strong scene direction in this opening scene with both the antagonist and the introduction of the legendary soldier Big Boss here,
I'm in front of the prison camp.
for a moment takes a step aside in order to be sort of a Splinter Cell looking fella with this pretty cool night vision goggle. And I'm guessing that it only needs to be a goggle because, surprise, surprise, he only has one eye.
Kept you waiting, huh?
I guess we're going to go ahead and call him Snake for this. I think that Big Boss is fine. I'm going to refer to him as both because I'm not very good at remembering what promises I make. Once again, probably of the missions, this one reasonably has the most atmosphere to it as a result of being the only mission that's sort of like a storyline mission. We have a wonderful weather effect. Everything has this very wet feel to it. And we are also introduced to the iDroid, aka the magic hologram device.
Chico and Paz are being held in an old unused part of the compound. Get inside and head northeast.
While the iDroid is kind of maybe silly, it also does a very good job of sort of giving you all of the information you have in the game organically, which I think is a cool effect. We're going to go ahead and start just mowing people down. Hopefully no one will notice. I don't think those guys noticed, and if they haven't noticed, that's not a problem. We're going to hop on up here.
To climb an obstacle, press the action button.
And we're going to make our way around. You might have seen this route of entrance in one of the previous missions. We're going to use it again just because I'm not very good at coming up with alternate tricks. I'd like to just do the same thing over and over again. I'm complacent, is the term.
You can bring up the target's location on your iDroid.
We're going to go ahead and sneak by a lot of folks here. Once again, we're probably going to see a lot of reflex mode in this playthrough. I apologize. I have played through these missions at a higher standard of skill, but today will not be that day. We're going to go ahead and let that Jeep pass by. There he goes. And there is a fellow up there who we are going to make sure is not a problem for us. He is out of sight. So we're not going to go up there and kind of futz around with him. We're just going to head down to the prison camp and start rescuing Chico, who we know is there because not only did we see it on the iDroid in the opening cutscene, we actually saw some folks drive out of this very road in the cutscene. So, we have some unfair information that Big Boss reasonably shouldn't have, but that's okay. We're not legendary soldiers like Big Boss, so we get to have a bit of a handicap, you know? There's a fellow in there. He just moved out of my line of sight. So it's going to be very tricky to sort of finagle away into shooting him. Oh, I am not okay with that light being on my rifle here. There we go. Highlighting folks for a while gives a little, or scanning on folks, looking at folks I suppose, gives a little highlight over them. That's very helpful, not only for tracking where people are, but for making sure that you actually shoot them where you mean to shoot them.
Had a message for you. I'm ready for the worst. Sounded a little too cheerful to me.
There's not a dude up there. I don't think there's a dude up there. Hope there's not a dude up there, otherwise we're in trouble. Because I'm not going up there. Please don't let there be a dude up there. We are coming around this corner. There is a fellow there who
Open, boss.
was a little slow. That's okay.
Keep low. You can check the controls on the pause screen.
There is a few more issues. Nah, we're going to go ahead and get Chico out. There's no lock-picking minigame in this game. I assume because they felt that it was not necessary. I'm actually surprised that Hideo Kojima wouldn't go to that extra effort to add something like that to his game, but I'm actually grateful. I don't like lock-picking minigames that much. Chico. So Chico's pretty zoned out. I wouldn't blame him. I don't think he's being fed very well. I don't think he's being treated very well. I think, in general, he's having a miserable life right now.
Chico, it's me.
I would begrudge the man his tapes.
No, go away! Go away!
So, if you're particularly heartless and you actually go ahead and shoot those prisoners before you start this cutscene, Snake will kind of look over to the side to look for anyone who's going to see him trying to extract Chico, but they don't actually show the prisoners because they're dead, which I think is cool. This is a very good-looking cutscene, and the fact that they went to the extra effort to kind of move the cutscene around just to make sure that it follows what you do in the game, that's really cool. So we've choked out a small child so far. It's okay. He was in a bit of a panic, anxiety attack or something. He was acting irrationally. These people think that we killed him. I'm assuming, because they kind of give up hope on the, you're gonna let us out, right?
I got Chico.
And boss,
Not here.
are you sure?
Pretty sure.
Is Chico able to walk?
Hold on.
So this is very brutal, and I apologize if you consider this kind of objectionable to be showing, but I certainly am aware of, at least in stories that happens, the bolts to the feet. People do far worse things to people in keeping them captive, so I certainly feel bad. That certainly gave me a lot of sort of cringing feelings when I first saw it, but
on your map. Okay, now carry Chico there.
Your map has been updated.
I've seen it. The shock is worn off. Hopefully you've seen it before. If this is your first experience with Ground Zeroes, I am very sorry that you had to see us in this state. This fellow is suspicious of us, but now he's asleep, which is okay. This guy is not suspicious of us, and I'm going to miss him now. Oh, no, I didn't. Now I'm a liar.
What's up?
This guy is suspicious of his friend who went to sleep for no reason, and he is now going to fall asleep out of suspicion.
Once you don't end up head first in the ocean.
Thank you very much. We are not going to end up headfirst in the ocean. It's very difficult, actually, to end up headfirst in the ocean. Chico is upset. That's reasonable, I think.
Just a little further.
We're going to go ahead and run to the RV because
Great.
we're kind of clipping through Chico as it is.
Target down for a minute.
We're going to go ahead and call in the chopper here, and I'm going to pull up the pause screen, and we're going to go ahead and talk to Chico while the helicopter shows up.
Chico, where's Paz?
Chico's not the most social person, I don't think. So that's torture and sort of
When was this recorded?
a rough go of things.
She's dead.
Very interesting dialogue in that all Chico says is she's dead. There's not a lot of exposition. He just hands him the tape and kind of wants to go back to his own little world. Interesting, good characterization. Fairly strong characterization, actually.
Mission info has been updated.
This kind of game gets a lot of flack for sort of the more ridiculous elements of it, but as far as these things go, I think they did a pretty good job with following through on the character as it's presented. Metal Gear Solid tries. It doesn't always get it right, but it certainly tries. And, oh, there's our helicopter coming. So, soon we'll get rid of Chico and we'll be able to go back to just having our assault rifle and shooting people instead of putting them to sleep.
This is Morpho, arriving shortly at LZ.
I think it's a very good effect that they actually have the helicopter fly in. You can kind of see it in the distance as it comes in. I'm a big fan of sort of the incidentals of this game. I don't know why we have to carry Chico like this the entire time. I'm assuming you could be a little less harsh with him, handle him a little more gently after you, finish pulling him out.
Give us a clue to Paz's location.
It will.
Use your iDroid to listen to it.
Alright, so this is sort of the first half of the game, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to wait for this scene to end, and we're going to go for a bit of a pause, and then we'll come back and we'll rescue Paz. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to pause.